Really excited to be at the SFL convention. I think it's an important moment, in particular in the history of this province, because we're just about to see a labor review that's really digging into, in a very deep way, 100 years of legislation that's been built to try and protect workers, and the current government is trying to really take us a step backwards, doing it in a way that isn't consulting people within the workers' movement, isn't consulting the unions, isn't consulting the public in a meaningful way. And so my approach is really the opposite. I'm here to listen to the members of the different unions, the different workers, and see, rather than what rights do we want to take away, what rights do we actually want to increase? What are the gains that we can make to actually protect the rights of workers, to actually advance equality within our society? As a physician, I work with people who are in QP and people who are in SEIU and all kinds of folks who are in different unions, and I like that the people that I work with actually have good jobs and that they have some control over their own destiny and that they're able to actually influence their own working conditions. And to be honest, as a physician, I'm a member of the SMA, which doesn't call itself a union, but we're a collective bargaining union, and I think that benefits me very much. And I would hate to see any steps taken to make it so that workers aren't able to join together, bargain collectively, establish the conditions of their own work, and make it harder for people in other sectors. One of the things we talk about a lot is the importance of equality within a society. The more equal a society is, the better the health outcomes for everybody, not just the poor, but everybody. And to have greater equality, you need to do either redistribution or predistribution of income. And redistribution is okay, and it's an important part of what we do. We have to have a progressive taxation system that makes sure that money circulates to the entire population. But I really think we need to talk more about predistribution, about how we make sure that at the front end, people have good incomes, that people who are currently on social assistance are able to get the help that they need to get into the workforce. All of those things that make sure that people have good living wages, good jobs, a growing middle class has such an important element for health outcomes, but also for the economy. The more people you have that are actually part of productive employment, that are able to participate in local economies, that are able to contribute to the tax base to provide the services we need, the better off we all are. And I think that the labor movement has been an integral part of establishing that middle class in the past, and to move away from those rights is a really great way to erode the middle class, which is essential to our success. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly what Wall puts forward. I'm really worried that we're going to be Wisconsin North, that we're going to see the effort to introduce right-to-work legislation here, and I really think we're a test case for the country and maybe the whole continent in terms of how far labor rights can be rolled back. So one, I think we need to fight against that, and we need to show that, in fact, the states that have right-to-work legislation do worse. Their economies are worse. It's not a positive for anyone, but a very few number of businesses, and probably them in the long run, not a positive either. At the same time as fighting against whatever bad legislation has been introduced or is going to be, we also need to be proposing what are the better ideas. Things like pay equity, things like living minimum wage, the sorts of gains that can be made rather than always being in a defensive position. I'm very glad to see that we're moving away from the export of asbestos in the country, but here in the province, there's still tons of buildings, many of them public buildings, that have asbestos in them, and I think we need to have, as the World Health Organization has recommended, a registry of those buildings and a plan to do the retrofitting, to remove the asbestos in a safe way, to discard it in a safe way so that it actually gets properly disposed of and isn't put into a landfill. Because this is something that, well, it's costing lives for no good reason. Trying to increase the age before you can actually access your pension, trying to increase the number of hours people can work, trying to eliminate overtime. These are the sorts of things that really put pressure on us as human beings. And we're getting to that point where we're really out of balance and we're selling our health to be able to get by. And I think we need to take a step back and say, what is it we're actually trying to achieve here? What do we want for people? We want a healthier society. We want well-being for individuals. We want people to be able to actually spend time with their families so that the work they're doing is worthwhile. And I, for one, think we need to model that. I'm right now balancing a campaign and taking care of a young son, and we have a young family, and trying to balance being everywhere with also being at home. And I've really made a distinction that I'm going to spend quite a bit of time with my family as well as on the road, so that that doesn't stretch me too far. And I think we need to have that conversation about what can we expect in our lives and what are we trying to get to. Work-life balance and safe work that's healthy is really important, one of the determinants of health. We always talk about what are the things that really make a difference in health outcomes? What are the things that make a difference in whether we'll have long or short lives, be sick or be well? And it's income, education, employment, housing, nutrition, the wider environment. Employment is right up there. And the better the employment, the safer the employment, the better is people's health, the better all of our lives. One of the reasons we're not in government anymore is that over time we really lost touch with the social movements, the workers' movement. And if we have any hope of rebuilding this party, we need to tap into the things that get people excited enough to take to the streets, get people excited enough to take action. So we're not just going to get people to vote NDP and that'll be great. They'll change their minds and vote NDP. It doesn't work that way. We need to get them to actually become a part of this movement, lend their strengths and talents. And only if we make that connection will we have a chance at electoral success.